If you're watching this, don't buy Andrew Tate's copywriting course Inside Hustlers University, because this is a completely 100% free copywriting course that I'm going to give you the fundamentals of copywriting on. If you're ready to start making money as a copywriter, look no further than this video. I'm going to get straight into it and drop some insane value here. And for the people who watch to the end of this video, I'll throw in a $59 bonus completely free. Just watch to the end. So make sure to subscribe, drop this video a like, and let's jump into the course. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to write copy that turns you into a money printing machine. This is going to be some of the most valuable shit you ever learn about copywriting, because we are going to cover 4 fundamentals. Now, most people on YouTube or anywhere else will talk to you about the tactics, about what's working now, about a good headline, give you specific examples of stuff that they've used that take 3 seconds of effort. I'm going to show you examples of stuff that works, but I'm going to explain the fundamental behind it, because that's super important. Because you're here to make money. You're not here to make it for 1 day or 2 days or whatever's working now. You need to learn how to write copy that sells for years and years, because once you develop the skill, you'll know how to make money. And that's exactly why you're here. Whether you want to make money to buy a Lamborghini, or just to put your mum into a nicer house, or for whatever reason to pay your rent, you want to make money, you're here to make money, you need to understand the fundamentals. Too many beginners skip straight to the tactical bullshit and they don't get the valuable stuff. These are the fundamentals. You learn these, you won't have to worry about tactics, because you'll just know the fundamentals. So these are 4 of the most important things you must understand if you want to write good copy. And I'm going to go through these one by one. There's literally I think 34 slides in this, full to the brim with information. And I'm going to make it entertaining. I'm going to keep you hooked the whole way through, like a good copywriter would, because you want to actually learn this shit. And so I'm not going to make it boring. It's not going to be boring theory. So we're going to talk about number 1, let's be clear. That's about clarity of writing. That's actually the shortest one, but it's so important. We also have creating your vision and storytelling, which is just this is just a fundamental. If you can't do this, you're screwed. Then we have curiosity and contrast, which is all of these are so important. That's why they're fundamentals. Then we have don't sell products, sell results and dreams. So you're going to learn an absolute ton in this course. This is insane. This is one of the most important things you need to ever watch. So like the video if you haven't already, because this is super important. I can't believe I'm giving you this shit for free. It's fucking insane. Hey, what's up? Just want to interrupt this free course for a second and give you that free value I promised earlier, the free thing worth $59. So if you go to the link in the description, click that and follow through, just send me a message on Instagram asking for the free $59 product. All it is a free training giving you the 2 hottest niches for beginner copywriters right now. So if you want that, make sure to go through the link in the description. Very, very important you do that. And also subscribe. Let's get back to the course. So let's be clear. Let's just get right into it. You must understand that in general, people are stupid. They get confused easily. They get distracted easily. And confused and distracted people don't buy. Think about on YouTube. When you click on a video, the video needs to be very appealing. It needs to have a big thumbnail that says exactly what the video is about, and a title that tells you exactly what the video is about. There are entire teams and there are entire professions built around people who can get your attention. That's what the entire copywriting industry is. That's what clickbait is. Articles on Twitter, Facebook. You think you go through a news feed. It's all articles oh, you won't believe what this guy said about this guy. It's all designed to get your attention. So you have to be clear. Confused and distracted people will not see that stuff, because they'll be confused and distracted. They'll move on to the next thing, which is clear for them. People are, whenever they're going through a news feed or an explore page or anything on social media, which is generally where most stuff is going to happen, then their brains are going to be sludge during that time. Because I know mine is. I know when I go through social media and I'm sitting there on my phone, I'm just scrolling. I'm an idiot. I'm just I want to pass time on this phone. So I'm looking through this stuff. So I have to be clearly told what to do. So basically, there's a lot of reasons that their stupidity will keep them from buying. Buying something is something that you really need. There's science to this. This is why I'm teaching you the fundamentals of copywriting, because you have to understand how to not distract and confuse people. So this is why you must write copy in a way that's very simple to read and understand, and to give very clear and very specific instructions. So you might think it's overkill or not necessary, but you'd be surprised. Something that I used to do whenever I wrote sales pages or emails or anything else is put very, very specific instructions in the product description about exactly how to buy the product at hand. Usually it's something like, just click the big blue add to cart button to get yours now. You wouldn't think that is actually needed, but I swear to God, you'll see the conversion rate jump whenever you do that. I've seen conversion rates jump just by adding a single line. Click this button to get what you want. Like, it's so simple. People need to be led right to it. So you think it'd be common knowledge that clicking add to cart is how you buy something online, but again, you'd be surprised. Along with giving up specific instructions for how to get your offer, it's also important that you write in a very simple way. If your copy is difficult to understand or read and it doesn't flow naturally, people aren't going to read it. How have I laid this out to you right now as you're reading it? It's not one big wall of text. It's not one big sentence. I've spaced it out. I've taken the time to make this easy and fun to read because otherwise you won't care. And honestly, that's all I really have to say in this section. Lay out your clear instructions and write simply. So as I said, that's a very short one. Very important point though. Most people are not, like, they don't keep things simple. Whenever you go to write stuff, I'm going to probably include an exercise in this massive course. If you're watching this as a standalone video where it's just a copywriting course, then I'll include it in my main free course where I'm going to include some things about how to do deep work and stuff like that. And if you're doing any type of copywriting, if you're doing examples like practice copywriting, you need to keep all of these fundamentals in mind. Like, look at your piece of copy after you're done and look through the 10 fundamentals or however many I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you 4 here and then I'll tell you how to get another 9 after. But you need to look through them, look through your copy and be like, is it clear? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Because if it's not all of the fundamentals, you're not going to sell anything. So we'll skip on to the next one. Creating your vision. Now, one of the most effective ways to persuade someone to buy your product or service is through stories. I see people do this wrong all the time. All the time. My email inbox is filled with beginners trying to pitch me something with a boring story that only they care about. They ramble on for far too long, they talk about all the wrong stuff, and they lose the reader, they lose me before any actual persuasion is even done. I'm a copywriter, right? I think. There's a video on my channel called How I Closed the Best Copywriter in the World, Ben Settle. Go and watch that video and see how I closed that guy. It was not boring. It was very short, very sweet, and I didn't ramble. You'll see that very quickly. So they lose the reader before any actual persuasion is done, and that is exactly what we're trying to avoid. We need to keep people hooked. So if we're going to use stories, we want them to actually serve a purpose, to actually persuade people to buy what we're selling. So let's talk about how to do that. First, you've got to understand nobody gives a shit about 99% of the stories you're likely to tell. If you've ever been in a group setting and tried to tell a story, then got interrupted halfway through, it's not a great feeling, I know. But when that happens, it's because no one gives a shit about the story. No one really cares about anything other than themselves. So if you ever find that, like, if you've tried this, because I've definitely tried this as, you know, a business owner trying to sell and network with people, I tell stories and I like sort of test it in my own head, and then think about the next time I'm going to see someone, I'm like, all right, let's not try that angle, or let's not try that. Maybe I have a story that I'm telling them that's to push them in a certain direction or to persuade them of something. I kind of like A/B test it in my head. I'm like, right, if I tell a story but include something that's relevant to them, or if I tell a story that is completely relevant to them. So let's say I'm meeting someone who's a YouTuber. I'm not going to tell a story about like the marketing side of my business or, you know, hiring or something like that. I'm going to tell a story that's related to YouTube and think about what is this person's pain point, or what is something I can relate to now as I tell this story, because that's what's going to keep them interested. You know, they're not going to give a shit if it's some boring story about something they don't care about. People, like, they care about themselves. You've probably done this. We've listened to people and they talk about something you give no fucks about. And then you're like, why are they telling me this? You're just waiting for them to finish the story. Maybe you're in a bar. Maybe you're just sitting there with a pint and they're just rambling on about their fucking some bullshit. And you're just like, oh yeah, just make eye contact and wait for the story to finish. And then let's just get another drink. Like, that's literally how it goes. I've had this, like, I went out the weekend. It happened. People telling me stories. And I'm like, bro, this is not interesting. And I do the same thing. We're all guilty of it. But just whenever you're copywriting, you have a chance to tell the story via text, so you can review it after and be like, is this actually interesting? And if it's not, fucking kill it. So if you want people to actually read your stories, and for your stories to actually be persuasive, there's got to be something in it for them, i.e. your reader. This doesn't necessarily mean that there's a reward in reading your story. It just means it's about something they're interested in. As I've said, it's entertaining to them or something along those lines. There's some things that are universally entertaining, but there are a lot of things that aren't universally entertaining. Like there's some stories I know when I tell the people in a bar, I know for a fact that they're going to be hooked in. Like, there was one story about how I got into the VIP section of a Manchester United match. Basically what happened was I accidentally walked into an exit that I thought was an exit whenever I was leaving this Manchester United match. I just had a regular ticket, like a regular normal person ticket, and I walked into the wrong exit, and this woman was giving out like lanyards, like little things to put around your neck. And so I was like, all right, why are they giving us these? But we'll just take it. We just flashed our tickets, got this lanyard, and I was like, right, let's go out. I want to go out and have pints after this. So we went down, walking through this really weird exit, and then I get to the bottom of the stairs, turn left, and walk into this room, and all I see is a full table of champagne, orange juice, like beer, like literally look around and there's like beer and people walking around serving drinks, and I'm like, where the fuck am I? Turned out I'd walked into the VIP section, I looked down at my lanyard and it says VIP match day experience. I was like, what the fuck? Every time I tell that story, there's so much more to that story that I cut it really short there, but every time I tell that story, people are like, how the fuck did you do that? And then it just kills. So that's an example of a universal story, because the reason it's interesting as an example, the reason that's interesting is because everybody wants to get that VIP. That's a universal experience. People want to feel like they're better than other people. That's why they buy VIP. They want to get an experience that is expensive, and they also don't want to pay for it. So if I tell a story that's like, here's how I accidentally got that, they're like interested because they're like, oh my God, how the fuck did you do that? Like, I'd love to do that. And I tell the story and I don't make myself sound like amazing or like I did some special thing. I'm just like, yeah, this is what happened. So like, if you want to try that out, go ahead. So that's an example of a universal story. And that's just some bonus content that I haven't put in this course, but you're watching right now. You've made the best decision of your life to continue watching, because most people have fucking dipped because they're going to want to go watch some boring video about fucking F1. So let's just go on through the course. Now, here's another example from a course. Just dropping value examples here. So this is from a course I took back in the day. The guy was selling weight loss supplements through email, and he wrote a completely made up story about his uncle who was a gold miner during the rush, like the gold rush. Now this was a completely made up story. He wrote this out from the email list to sell weight loss supplements. So put yourself in this position. He brought his men to a new spot, hundreds of miles away from where everyone else was. No one thought there was any gold there, even his own men, but he had a hunch, so he went for it. For months, the men mined nothing but dirt. It was a dismal operation. At one point, there was barely enough funding to last even another week. So once his men figured this out, a huge portion of them deserted. They gave up. And the few that remained, well, they thought that his uncle was crazy enough for mining here in the first place, let alone continuing to mine when they had found absolutely nothing for months. So they're there for months, found nothing. Everybody else is deserting. But a few thought that the uncle was crazy enough to stay here. So, his uncle was a persistent motherfucker. He continued to mine and had what was left of his men to do the same. Just a few days after the majority of men gave up and left, they struck gold. More gold than anyone had seen in their lives. My uncle became the richest man alive at the time, simply because he didn't give up in the face of adversity. Now that was the story, basically tied in with a metaphor about losing weight. Most people give up, but you never know how close you are to breaking through and getting your results of your dreams. You could just be a few days away, but if you give up now, you'll never know. Something along those lines. That email ended up selling more product than the previous 3 combined. Pretty crazy, right? I thought so. So that's just a little excerpt from an old course that I took where I found it was really, really valuable. This guy gave a great example about how to tie your story in with what you want to sell. So that's what I want to talk about. So why was that so effective? Well, he created a vision. Using the miners as a metaphor, he was able to create a captivating story. So striking gold is pretty interesting compared to most topics. That's what everybody wants. High value thing for like a low amount of work. That's the general perception. It's about overcoming adversity. And in that story, he created a vision of the incredible rewards one can expect when they don't give up. Then he was able to tie that vision in with something that really hit home with the readers: losing weight. The thing about storytelling is the vision is the most important part. It is. It's just the most important part. If you don't create some sort of vision in your reader's mind, the story is pointless. But when you do create a vision, your story becomes more powerful because it resonates with the reader and makes them feel things. It's all about emotion. People are built off emotion. They need to feel something. This is why I tell you stories. This is why I tell you that taking this copywriting course is actually going to change your life, because if you take action on it, like if you actually do the things I'm telling you here, you will make the money. Like most people are so like, they don't even think about the actual real results of making money. Like whenever I first started out, I was completely broke. Like I would have killed for a literal $100 client. And then I remember I got that, and the best feeling in the world I had whenever I got like $100 client through PayPal to write copy for them. And so I want you to understand that that is actually going to happen if you take action in this stuff. You can make money. You can make a lot more than $100. I ended up making like hundreds of thousands of pounds at the age of 24. Like literally, who does that? Nobody else I know is able to do that. And it's through these skills. It's through writing copy and building a business. So this is what you need to understand. This is actually achievable. You can actually change your life by becoming good at copywriting, because there's a million examples of it. So once you've created a vision and made your reader feel things, all you have to do is tie that story back into the product you're selling. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is that the story alone is not enough. In order for it to be persuasive, it has to create a vision and make people feel strong emotions. Similar to what we've talked about before, this could either be a positive or negative vision. So this could either be a positive vision of the future or a negative vision. So both of these are very powerful, and I'll go through some examples. The positive vision with your product or service, or a negative vision of their life without it. Again, the negative one is more effective. So I've just shown you a positive vision, which was the striking goal because you overcame adversity. And I want to show you another example. So a good example of a negative story or vision is the story of Patrice O'Neill's death. You might actually know Patrice O'Neill, and this is a story from Ben Settle, the guy I closed, and there's a video on YouTube of how I closed Ben, but he wrote this absolutely insane story about Patrice O'Neill, and I'm going to give my take on it because it's a really great example of selling a negative vision to sell the product. So here's the story. Patrice O'Neill was a comedian, a very fat, very stubborn comedian. He didn't care much about his health, and he cared even less for the opinion of anyone trying to tell him how to eat, how to exercise, etc. But one day that all caught up with him. Like many obese people, Patrice suffered from type 2 diabetes. Do you know anyone in your life, just take a second out of this story, do you know anyone in your life who's really out of shape or getting out of shape? Maybe it's you. Maybe it's you or someone you know. Think about that person, and then replace their name with Patrice O'Neill in this story, and then think about how powerful this story is. I swear to God, this is, because as I was reading it, I was thinking of someone fat that I know, and I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. So back to the story. Like many obese people, Patrice suffered from type 2 diabetes. He had it all under control for the most part, until one day he didn't. One morning he woke up, and unlike every other morning before, this time he couldn't move his legs. He tried and tried and tried again, but no matter what he did, he couldn't get out of bed. He called his girlfriend, completely frantic, trying to explain to her what was happening. I'm not exactly sure what the medical term is, but basically, Patrice was paralyzed. Then the next morning, he woke up again. This time, he couldn't even move his arms. Slowly, over the course of a couple of weeks, he lost his ability to move everything. This is from his obesity. First his legs, then his arms, then his jaw, then his mouth, until eventually he couldn't even open his own eyes. He was fully conscious, but he was trapped inside the shell of his own body. He died shortly thereafter, but by God, if that's not a scary story. So that's why you don't want to become obese. Now, if I was fat or I had diabetes, I'd be shaking in my boots doing everything I could to make sure that that never happened to me. And that's the power of creating a vision, in this case, a negative one. So hopefully this gives you some insights into how to actually write a persuasive story. Now let's keep rolling. So let's talk about curiosity and contrast. This is a bit more tactical than some of the other principles in this section, but I'm including it for a reason. It's incredibly effective. You have to open loops in people's minds to make them want to close them at the end of your sales copy, which is why you pitch them the closed loop. So I'm just going to show you an example of someone I follow here on YouTube because I love this guy's videos. It's called James Smith. He's made loads of videos over the last couple of years. And so I want to show you his titles and thumbnails. This is a live example of what's working right now to go with the fundamental, to show you an example. So these are just his most popular videos. The very first one here is a recent video, and it literally is absolutely killing it right now because it's relevant to what people care about. So also, if you can write in a way that's relevant to whatever's happening now, people will really care because that's relevant. They're seeing that every day in front of their eyes. They're opening their phone, they're seeing that person. So if you say something that contrasts or provides curiosity about that topic that they're interested in, like in this example, Logan Paul, then they're going to watch. That's a high curiosity, it's a highly relevant term and highly relevant means they're going to care a lot more about it. So if you're telling something about Logan Paul, it's going to perform so much better than if you tell the story about the prospector. While that one might work, a story about Logan Paul is going to work because it's relevant to them now, and people don't give a shit about old, boring stuff. So tie all this into relevant stuff that's relevant now, and I guarantee you'll perform way better. So the reason this video performed better, right? Basically, if you don't know anything about YouTube, 99% of the reason a video performs is by the title and thumbnail, and then as long as the content's decent and it keeps people hooked the whole time, which it does, which is an entirely other topic, as long as the title and thumbnail is good enough, you're gonna get clicks and you're gonna get views. And this is him selling people and clicking on this video, and this has performed insanely well. 2 million views in 2 weeks. It's fucking nuts for a guy who doesn't get that many views. He's never got that many views in his life. He hasn't even cracked 1 million. So it shows you how important curiosity is. So here's why this is curious, and this is why contrasting. So Logan Paul's most profitable scam yet, and it's a bottle of Prime. It says scam. So why is this? Take a second to think. Like, why is this making people curious about it? Well, my perception of it is Logan Paul. Most people say they don't like him. There's parts of him I don't like, but I also am just fascinated because he's amazing at keeping your attention. He's amazing at he's always relevant. Like, there's something about him, he's always relevant. So I would say that there's a positive perception in most people's mind about Logan Paul. Like, he wouldn't be this popular for this many years if he wasn't interesting. So most people find him interesting. They value him quite highly when it comes to social media. And so for you to basically go against them, that's contrast. That's contrasting what most people think about someone, which is why you'll always see like the dramatic downfall of this person. Someone people generally like or something they like will get a negative review because it's clicks. People like that person. Oh, why is this person talking shit about them? I'm going to click. I'm going to find out. And then if it's bad, they'll want to comment and say their fucking opinion on it. And so but you've already won. You've got them to click. So you'll never look at YouTube the same way after this video, by the way. So Logan Paul's most profitable scam yet. So that is a super title because it's very short, it's very sweet, it's clear. It lets you know exactly what he's talking about in like less than 2 seconds. You see this bottle of Prime. Oh, that's cool. Like, Prime is a cool brand. They've done really, really well branding it. How is it a scam? Oh my God, I have to click. I have to find out. It's most profitable. So we all know Logan's done loads of stuff to make money, but this is his most profitable one. This is making me really curious. I see this bottle of Prime. I see this guy in the background. What's going on here? Like, why is this his most profitable way to make money, and why is it a scam? So that makes you want to click. So that's why that video is absolutely killing it right now. Then we have V-Shred fakes going on Joe Rogan. So I'd say this one's probably not as contrasty, but it basically just says fake about a guy who presents himself as real. There's a bit of contrast in there. This one is pure curiosity. This is really, really good. The fitness industry's dirty little secret. So dirty little secret is like OG copywriting term. Like, everybody uses that. Like, the dirty little secret that'll make you 10x returns on your investment. You know, that sort of thing. So the fitness industry's dirty little secret. What are they hiding from you? What are they hiding from you? I'm going to click this video and find out. Like, this guy makes it interesting enough for me to want to click on it. And is creatine worth the hype? So I've just clicked past, but you know, this is making it funny. So creatine, perfectly natural supplement, but there's always a little bit of a question. Is this the natural? Whenever I got into weightlifting, I didn't know what creatine was or why to use it. So a lot of people are like, there's a little bit of a question in your mind. Whenever there's a question about something, that's how you can capitalize on it with a story. And this is exactly what he's done here. He's lined it up as if it's, you know what. I can't say it here on YouTube because it'll probably get me demonetized. But he lines it up here and he's about to snort it. And that's how he ties in creatine, which is a big question thing, and makes you want to click a video about it. So those are some examples. All right, so have you ever been in a situation like this? You're in a group setting and you overhear 2 friends whispering your name. They're talking about you, but you don't know what they're saying. At this point, you're incredibly curious. You heard your name, but you don't know the context. You really want to figure out the context. So more likely than not, you ask them what they were talking about. The curiosity got to this short circuit in your brain, or this loop. So you took action to figure out what's up. So you just ask, like, oh, was my name mentioned? and you can apply this exact principle to copywriting too. I'm guaranteed this has happened in your life before. So in fact, I see this all the time. Let's illustrate with an example. So as I just want to mention, you can apply this exact principle to your copywriting. So the example is, let's say we're selling a Facebook ads course. We could say something like, discover how to use Facebook to generate leads, clients, and sales like no tomorrow. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that sell shit like this. It's fucking terrible. But what would be better is interlacing a little bit of curiosity, a secret, something they don't know. Look at this. These are examples. It's all something they don't know. They're opening the loop in your mind. So something like, discover the dead simple 3-step process any newbie can use to generate leads, clients, and sales like no tomorrow. The curiosity lies within the dead simple 3-step process. You can see that very clearly here. So this section stays the same, but we've just added curiosity, which is just going to shoot the open rates right up. So now I've mentioned the process, and my potential customer is likely dying to know what it is. What are the 3 steps? Are they really dead simple? Will they really work for a complete newbie like me? We've got his brain swirling and tumbling, wondering what exactly this 3-step process is. Even though we've communicated the same point, generating leads, clients, and sales like no tomorrow, we've done it in a way that makes the potential customer super curious about it, which will make them more likely to buy. Something that goes along with curiosity is contrast, and I've already talked about this, but contrast is basically presenting 2 opposing concepts together and trying to get them in the same idea. Sorry, I'm like talking for 25 minutes at this point. I'm trying to take a little break. So contrast is a trigger for curiosity, because when you put 2 things together that in reality have absolutely no business being together, naturally it makes people curious. And we all know what happens when you make people curious. So some more examples. Selling the Facebook ads course again. So how we turned our worst performing ad into a 5x ROAS money printing machine. Or why a complete Facebook ads beginner can actually make more money in his first month than most guys with 2 years experience. How could that happen? The dumb as a box of rocks ad strategy that can make you $3,092 as soon as next week. I sound like an idiot here because I'm like messing things up, but the reality is I'm just delivering absolute value to you here, and it's a lot of information. So give me a break. By combining 2 contrasting ideas like worst performing ad or money printing machine or complete beginner and make more money, you make people incredibly curious, which again makes them more likely to buy. Just be careful not to overdo curiosity. Yes, it can be incredibly effective, but if you overdo it, it will undoubtedly lose its power. I'd recommend that you only bring out the hardcore, curiosity-laced bullet points when you really want to sell the hell out of something. Anywho, let's move on to the next one. So, don't sell products. Sell results and dreams. If you're selling a product, no one on God's green earth gives a shit about it but you. This is just a fact. Especially not the people you're trying to sell it to. You know what they care about? What your product will do for them. People only care about themselves. This is where the mantra of don't sell products, sell results comes in. This is also essentially the same concept of selling features versus benefits, which is probably something you've heard about before. Don't sell the features, sell the benefits. The product being the features and the results being the benefits. So this is extremely important to understand. No one cares about your product. They only care about what it will do for them. No one cares about your product. They only care about what it will do for them. No one cares about your product. They will only care about what it will do for them. Hammer that into your head and never forget it. It's super important. So this means in order to sell the hell out of things with the written word, your main focus should not be on the product, but what on buying the product will result in. Take a car salesman at a Ferrari dealership. He understands this fact, which is probably why he's not selling Toyotas anymore. So let's take this car salesman at a Ferrari dealership. Imagine you're the rich guy who just walked in and is considering buying a new Ferrari off the showroom floor. When you walk in, the salesman doesn't talk about the 500 horsepower twin-turbo V8, the plush Alcantara bucket seats, or the 3.2 second 0 to 60 time. Maybe he mentions those things, but they aren't his main focus. Those are things that people will justify. They will justify the logic, but the emotion is what you sell. His main focus is creating a vision in your head of what buying this Ferrari will do for you. He talks about how beautiful girls who normally wouldn't give you the time of day will be chasing you down, begging you to give them attention, take you on dates, and put your rich guy Willie inside of them. So when they see you driving down the road in your new Ferrari, how your asshole neighbor, who's always flaunting his new Porsche every chance he gets, will be in utter disbelief when you pull into the driveway. He'll be thinking, how the hell can this dickhead afford a nicer car than me? He'll take one look and be so envious his head might just pop off his neck. So do you get the gist? Once the salesman actually starts talking in terms of what the Ferrari will do for you and not about the actual Ferrari itself, you'll be more likely to buy. Yes, it's fast. Yes, it sounds amazing. And yes, it's got the looks that could kill. But all of that comes second, because the main thing you care about is all the magical things owning a Ferrari will do for you, not the Ferrari itself. The salesman knows this, so that's why he focuses on selling you. He sells you the result, not the product. And because of it, you buy that bad bitch off the lot right then and there. Now, to give you an example, a real life example again of someone I know who has a Ferrari, I asked him questions like I'm analyzing myself when I ask him questions. I'm not asking him, like I guarantee, so I know a couple of people actually who have Ferraris, and I've considered buying one. And the questions I ask people who have Ferraris aren't like, oh, what's the engine like? Or, oh, what about the tires? Or what's the interior like? And do you do this? The questions I ask is, do people actually turn their heads at you? Do you notice anything different whenever you're driving a Ferrari than when you're driving a normal car? And the answers I get are yes. They're like, yes, it's a head turner. People come up to me. Like this is my friend. I was literally sitting asking him for like 30 minutes about his Ferrari. And I was like, do people actually give a shit, or are you just like, is it just like a normal car? Is that just like a perception that people have? But no, people actually care. Like I know when I see people out, when I see somebody with like a really nice car, like say a BMW i8 or for something, I'll look at them and I'll be like, oh, I kind of want to go up and talk to that guy because that guy has bought something that's very rare and very valuable. I need to find out what his secret is. So that is the result and the dream. People want to see that. They don't care about the actual technical stuff that comes with the car, which is why when you're selling something with your copy, you have to focus on the dream. You cannot focus on the boring stuff. Too many people focus on, yeah, we've got these, these documents and we'll give you this and we'll give you this and we'll give you this. No, sell them the dream. Give them all that stuff, like actually deliver the value with whatever you're selling, or if you're selling for a client, make sure you sell for someone who can actually get results, but you have to sell the dream. The sales is selling the dream. The product actually gets you the results. So to make sure you really get this concept, here's a more common example you might be able to apply now and not later. Don't sell social media marketing. Sell more time and money, maybe even take it a step further and sell lounging on the beach with the wife and kids while someone else makes you money. Here's a live example of someone you know very well. So on the left is some random guy, I just took a screenshot from his website, selling an SMMA course. On the right, we have Iman Gadzhi's YouTube thumbnail. Now, I know these aren't like for like examples, but it's basically a perfect example. So the guy on the left is telling you, hey, the only SMMA course created by real agency owners. This is how you get to 10 to 50K a month sustainably. Then on the right, we have Iman. This is how a millionaire spends his day. And the picture is him looking good, looking in good shape, out in the sun, having fun. He's smiling. What's he smiling about? I'm interested in that. The one on the right, the other picture is him with a YouTube play button. And it's like most people would absolutely love to have that. That's a dream. And you can see that like he's going to sell an SMMA course in his subscription. That's all he does. That's how he makes his money, is he sells SMMA courses. But you see, he's not doing it in a boring way that this other guy's doing it. Like he's literally just selling you what you want. You want to be a millionaire. This is how a millionaire spends his day. I want to be a millionaire. I'm going to watch this video. This is more interesting than this guy on the left who's talking absolute shit. Now, this video, for example, that I'm recording right now, this is not a good example of like how to actually sell the dream, because I'm giving you a free course. But in my opinion, I want to give you the value, and I'll probably create videos where I do vlogs and I show you my lifestyle, because my lifestyle is pretty fucking cool. I'm not going to lie. I get to travel, make a lot of money, I get to do what I want, but I want to create actual value for you here, because most people will sell the course and not give value. And to me, I want to give you value. So this is why I'm sitting recording. This is why I look like a guy on the left in this picture. I'm not trying to justify myself. I just want to tell you why I'm giving you value. So that's what you need to do. Here's a perfect example. Go through any of Iman Gadzhi's stuff. He just sells the dream of being a millionaire, a young millionaire, and you'll see that when you analyze it. So let's recap. This is going to wrap up this section. There are 4 fundamentals. Number 1, let's be clear. So always be clear. Be very clear about what they're getting. Number 2, create your vision and storytelling. We've went over all that stuff. If you have to watch this back, watch it back. This is some of the most valuable shit you'll ever get. Curiosity and contrast. Again, these are fundamentals. Like, these are things you must understand. If you don't understand them, you may as well not watch this course. Like, you're just going to end up broke. You're going to end up where exactly where you don't want to be. You're going to stay at the current position you are. You need to push forward. You need to make money here. These are the 4 fundamentals you have to take into account. Then the final one, don't sell products, sell results and dreams. We just covered that. So there are 9 more secret fundamentals to copywriting that I cover in just as much detail, and actually in more detail, in my 6-figure freelancer program. I'm not going to talk about this all day, but you must apply to join this. And the link to speak to me on Instagram along with a free little goodie is in the description. I'm not messing about. This will make or break you as a copywriter. Like, there are 9. You've just seen the detail. I've been recording this video for like 35 minutes for this section, and you've seen the amount of detail I've went in with 4. I'm going to give you 9 more. These are secret fundamentals that people just don't teach online. Most people are just terrible teachers, like, I guarantee it. So if you're ready to make cold, hard cash, then let's talk. So I'm going to wrap it up here and we'll move on to the next section. Or if you're watching this video and it's a standalone video or it's in a course, enjoy it, go and make some money. So in this section, I'm going to go over the writing strategies that will buy you a Porsche 911. Now I'm going to go into the basic copywriting structures. Then I'm going to talk about infotainment. And finally, I'm going to talk about the next line, which ties in with infotainment. So, basic copywriting structure. Now that we've gotten most of the principles and tactical stuff out of the way, let's dive into 2 specific structures you can use as soon as, well, right now, just to start writing copy that sells. Before that, though, it's important to understand the basic structure that just about all copy takes on. There's really 3 key elements here: hook, body, and call to action. The hook is the first part, obviously, and that's where you want to draw people in, get their attention, and make them want to read the rest of your copy. For a sales letter, the hook would most likely be the headline. For an email, it's the subject line, maybe the first line or 2. You get the idea. It's the first words your prospect lays eyes on, and as such, it's almost undoubtedly the most important. Because if your hook sucks, they're not going to read the rest of your copy. If they don't read the rest of your copy, they can't buy. So it's important that your hook is actually good and actually does its job of hooking people in. Next up is the body copy. The body copy is everything between the hook and the call to action. Depending on the kind of copy you're writing, what lies in the body copy will vary. Regardless, the job of the body copy is to persuade, entertain, and most importantly, get the reader down to the call to action where the money is made. So the body copy is essentially just the body of the entire thing. It's the story you're telling, or it's whatever you're talking about in the copy. The body is basically the copy. The headline and the call to action bookend it and basically draw attention and sell. But this is where a lot of the persuasion is actually done. This is where basically all the persuasion is actually done. Finally, we have the call to action, or the CTA. The CTA is exactly what it sounds like. It's where you call your reader to take some sort of action. For our purposes, i.e. direct response, that action is usually entering their credit card information and buying your product. Every piece of copy needs a strong CTA. This is where the sale is made after all. Without it, everything else is wasted. That's the basic structure of just about every piece of copy known to man. Now let's get into 2 more specific structures, AIDA and PASS. So, A-I-D-A, or AIDA. You may have heard about AIDA before. I'm pretty sure I learned about a bit of it in school. AIDA stands for attention, interest, desire, action. The purpose of the AIDA formula is to take attention and turn it into action. Attention is the hook. It's where you get people's attention and give them a reason to keep reading. Again, people are self-interested. If you don't give them a good reason to keep reading, they probably won't. Once you have their attention, you want to make them interested in what you're saying. A good way to think about this is working backwards. What is my reader interested in? What can I say that would make them want to learn more? Obviously, this requires you to actually know the answers to these questions, so do your research. Once you've hooked them in and got them interested, how you cultivate their desire for what you're selling. You do this by talking about the key benefits of it, i.e. how it will improve their life or help them avoid something painful. I'd say this is where the bulk of the persuasion is done. As I've said, this is where you're actually getting paid as a copywriter to write this stuff. Finally, once you've got their attention, make them interested, made them desire the things that your product will do for them, you go all in for the kill with the call to action. You tell them what your offer is, you show them exactly how to get it, and maybe lace a little urgency or scarcity, a reason for them to buy today, and get them the opportunity to buy with your call to action. That's pretty much how the AIDA formula works. Attention is the hook, interest and desire are the body, and action is the call to action. Simple, right? I think so, and really there's no need to overcomplicate it. Copywriting isn't complex. Like anything, it just takes a lot of practice to get good at. Now let's move on to the next structure, PASS. PASS stands for problem, agitation, solution. This is also called the cut and band-aid method, where you basically create a cut, you create pain, and then you sell the band-aid. You sell the thing that will solve that pain. And in my biased opinion, it's even better than AIDA. It doesn't work for everything, but when it does, it works like hell. Here's how it works. First, you have the problem. There's a problem your reader/prospect has that ideally is a huge problem that's constantly eating away at them. Unfortunately, not everything you sell will be a solution to a dire problem. But even when it's not, this formula can still apply. Because even though our modern 21st century world is about as comfy and, let me move my camera, and cushy as it's ever been, everyone still has problems. In reality, they're not that important. Most of these problems are not that important. You perceive them to be, but they're not. But to the person experiencing them, they may as well be the end of the world. So with PASS, you start talking about this problem. Again, in order for this to work, it has to be a problem your reader or prospect actually has. This requires research. Do that shit. Anyway, you start talking about the problem, and since it's their problem, it's something they care about, which goes back to what I've talked about previously in this course. You have to make it something that they actually care about, get into their world. And since it's their problem, it's something they care about. It's something they're struggling with, something that really hits home with them. So when you mention it, it hooks them in. Once you have them thinking about the problem, next you agitate it. You talk about all the negative things that come with having this problem. If the problem is being fat, you talk about how hard it is to find clothes that hide your weight. How something as simple as going to the pool can become an anxiety-inducing mess, etc. I mean, I was fat last year. If someone had actually sold me on something that was, I don't usually buy a lot of stuff from sales pitches because I'm so advanced in the world of sales and marketing that I'm just not as sort of easy to sell to, if you know what I mean. I'm an advanced man. But whenever I was fat, I would have bought pretty much anything that would have guaranteed to help me get there with as little work as possible. And then I changed my mindset. I actually put the work in. And now whenever I look at buying things, I spend a lot of money on my health and nutrition now because it's really important. Like, I pay for a chef, I pay for a personal trainer, I pay for a really good gym membership, I buy really, really good food. Any supplements or protein or anything I get, I do some research into it because it's important to me, and it's something that I know if I can buy the best that I can, then I'm going to be able to perform at my best and it'll have so many effects on my life. But most people want to just buy the quick solution. And if they want to buy the quick solution, we'll sell them the quick solution, and then they'll realize that, okay, I need to actually put the work in. So if the problem is being fat, as I said, you talk about how hard it is to find clothes that hide your weight. You don't want to be wearing a t-shirt that shows your titties and your belly. That's a problem I used to have. It's not a good problem to have. I've seen so many other people have it. I have no problem talking about this because it's not like, yeah, it's a little embarrassing that, oh my God, I let myself put on a couple extra stone, but it's like, this shit happens. I'm back in the game. But yeah, like something as simple as going to the pool becomes an anxiety-inducing mess. Think about the actual problems that people have. If you're going to sell something, think about a problem that you've actually had before, and then it becomes a lot easier to sell because you can write from personal experience, and this will relate to people. This is obviously where you get them to feel real emotional because obviously they hate this problem. You do, and if you can solve that problem for them, you're doing a good job. So when they read about it, all those really strong negative emotions come flowing in. Finally, you go in for the kill. They're super emotional, they know they have a problem, and they desperately want to find a solution. So you present one to them. Your product or service is a solution. The solution is not just their problem, but all the negative emotions that come with it. All that's left is showing them what it is and how to get it, i.e. the call to action. And that's how the PASS structure works. Again, PASS won't work for everything. It works best when what you're selling is more of a solution than a product, preferably a solution to a burning problem. Regardless though, you can turn a product into a solution for just about anything. A piece of jewelry may not seem like a solution to a problem, but you can absolutely turn it into one. It can be the solution for a few problems. Things like your friend being prettier than you, cute guys not noticing you, your husband barely giving you the time of day anymore, etc., etc., etc. Everyone has problems and everyone wants a solution to their problems. And using the PASS structure, you can treat your product like a solution. Agitate the hell out of whatever problem it solves, and as a result, sell it like it's going out of style. There are certainly other structures for writing copy, but in general, they all follow the basic outline of hook, body, call to action. Keep that in mind when writing copy, and I have no doubt you'll be as persuasive as hell in no time. Now let's talk about infotainment. Now before we get into this section, it's a very small section, I have to give credit where it's due. Yet again, this concept comes from Ben Settle, who have interviewed in my channel. I talked to you about how I closed them on my channel, so those videos are on my channel if you want to go watch them later. Now I don't think he invented infotainment, but he definitely popularized it. And again, it's this concept called infotainment. You're writing information, but you want it to be entertaining. Basically, it's combining valuable information with the entertainment to form copy that's not only persuasive, but also fun and interesting to read and genuinely enjoyable to buy from. Because the thing about people is, we don't exactly enjoy reading. It's boring. It's time consuming. It requires focus and attention, and with so much stimulation available at our fingertips, it's becoming harder and harder for people to read. That's a problem for anyone writing copy, because in order for someone to buy from you, they have to actually read your copy first. And that's where infotainment comes in. By combining valuable information, i.e. something people want, with entertainment value, you make it much easier for someone to read your copy. You give them something they want, and you do it in a way that's fun and interesting. This makes them much more likely to buy from you. So how exactly do you write in an infotaining way? There's a few key things we'll go over now, but like anything, the only way to get good at it is practice. Just remember, and this goes for everything in this course, not just infotainment. I can lay all the steps out for you here, give you the blueprint, etc. But until you go and actually implement this stuff, it won't do you any good. So if you're not going to go and practice this, there's no point you watching this course. And you're deep into it now. Comment the word Saturn if you've watched this far. This is just Easter eggs. If people see these words, they have no idea why they're coming in. But me and you know, and I know, and I'll give you a like in your comment and reply to it. While infotainment isn't necessarily the end-all be-all of writing tactics, it's pretty damn close. Yes, there are other ways to write copy, but I've yet to come across anything more effective than infotainment. So the next part of this section will cover specific ways to write in a fun and infotaining way. I'm mainly just going to go over the next line because that's so important. Alright, so now we're moving into a more specific tactical writing stuff that you can directly apply to your copy to make it more persuasive. The first thing I want to cover is exactly what the goal of each line of copy is. We know that the overall goal of writing copy is getting people to buy now, not later. But when it comes to each specific line, what's the goal there? Simple. Getting the reader to the next line. And the goal of the next line? To get the reader to the next line after that. Basically, you want to write copy in a way that keeps people on their toes, like an action movie. It should hook them in, grab them by the balls, and make it near impossible for them to stop reading until they get all the way to the end. A decent heuristic for this is to look at it like each line as its own cliffhanger. You want people hanging on to the last word of each line, then immediately rushing in to get the next one. In my 6-Figure Freelancer 2.0, I talk more about how to do that. In my program, I talk more about how to do that. But for now, just make sure you understand this basic concept. So that's going to wrap it up for this, writing strategies. As I said, there's a bunch more writing strategies that will keep your copy entertaining, which is what you needed to do. Like, you absolutely need to be entertaining. The next line is just one of the strategies that I've taught to do that. I have a couple of other strategies which I teach inside my 6-Figure Freelancer 2.0 program. So if you're interested, make sure to hit the link in the description. You must apply. You must speak to me directly in the DMs so I can get a feel for, where you currently are, what your problems are, whether I can actually help you, and whether it's even worth, having you in, because some people want to start copywriting and I can tell they're not serious. They don't actually care. They want to make money, but they maybe don't have a good reason. They just think, I just have a laptop, I may as well. I've literally got that message from people. I just have a laptop and I thought I may as well try and make money. No, I want to make sure that you actually need to make this money and that you actually want to make money, because we don't let people into our program who are just lazy, because then it just brings down the value of the community. So that's where I'm going to leave this section. We're going to move on, and hopefully you find this valuable. Again, comment the word Saturn if you read this section. I will drop a like on that comment. So I'm going to see you in the next one. Cheers. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you want that free resource worth $59, go to the link in the description, shoot me a message. You'll have to sign up with your email address, then I'll send you a quick video. And then once you go through that, send me a message on Instagram and ask for the free resource. I will send it directly to you on Instagram. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe. There's a much longer free course that this course is actually a part of. So if you're unsure about why I talk the next section and stuff like that, why I mention things like that, make sure to go check out the 2.5 hour long free course on my channel. So I'm going to leave it here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.